Hello, beautiful people. Viv going live from York. So, why have I had why such a crazy title? It got me thinking today about I'm part of a thing called the Putty Verse, which is for multi-potentialites, people who have lots of different interests and stuff like that. And I am like a continual learner of stuff. And I just wanted to put out there that that's okay. I used to think it wasn't okay to have so many different interests and be pulled in so many different directions. But then I obviously became a home educating mum of two who have very large numbers of similarities, but actually huge differences between my two children. And so it got me thinking about like, where have I been? So I remember when I was interviewed for the first job that I got in IT. So I worked on the gas shippers database, which was it doesn't sound exciting, but it was very exciting because it was a new thing. I was also working when Y2K happened. So that big thing about the world is going to end because it's going to clock over to the year 2000 and everything's going to break. And at that interview, they were like, well, you did science A levels, you did biology, chemistry and maths, and then you did a philosophy degree, and then you did an IT degree. So are you just really flouncy? Do you actually know what you want to do? And there was very big reasons that I did the stuff that I did. So I did science A levels because I actually wanted to be a doctor. And then they predicted low grades and said I wouldn't get in. And I got higher grades and could have got in, but I didn't want to take the time off. So I decided to do a philosophy degree. And then I got to the end of that and went, what am I going to do with a philosophy degree? And by that time, I'd done a dissertation in the philosophy of artificial intelligence. So that's what then got me into information technology and stuff. And it reminded me of doing maths A level, which I really loved. And I've always loved maths. So I was trying to explain to them, that you can change your mind, you can change directions, but actually there was common threads running through all of that. Why am I telling you that? I'm telling you that because it's okay to have loads of different interests and from flip from one to the other. There's a whole load of people out there. And I think we've been given this idea at school, especially, that you've got to follow a certain path and do a certain amount of stuff and you can't flit. And it used to be the case that you'd get like a job and you'd have that job for life. But that doesn't really happen quite as much anymore. So I just wanted to put out there because I've seen quite a few interesting things from other people about how they got to where they are, especially people who run their own companies or have maybe done a really big sort of swerve in their career. But quite often people who've gone from being employed to then being self-employed, which is obviously dear to my heart because I used to be employed and I still have a part-time job. But I was sort of forced to become self-employed because of obviously home educating my children. I needed to do something that fitted around them. And the training I did in my shamanic, when I looked at my shamanic training, I actually started doing that just for me because I realized that I was getting quite angry with my children and it's not something that I wanted to do. So I obviously had some sort of unresolved things from childhood and stuff like that. And it was part of that, doing that core shamanism course that I did, the training I did before I became a practitioner, where I really started beginning to feel comfortable with who I was and the fact that in the past people had said, oh, you change your mind a lot and you're always thinking about what you should be doing next and stuff like that. And I really started sitting there and being more content with myself and more peaceful with myself and more accepting of who I was and the way I worked. And there was something really lovely about being in that group of people who were also training with me, where we were doing some quite intense like work on ourselves and practicing on each other, that you come to realize that even though you've got this group of people who are all training in the same stuff, the way we were journeying and the things that we were seeing when we were doing that, similar to if you've ever sort of talked to someone about your dreams or your daydreams or whatever, stuff like that, it became really clear that we were all, even though we're doing the same thing, we were all very, very different. And we all brought very different skills to what we were doing. So it just got me thinking about that idea that we are all very, very different. The way we've got to where we are is very, very different. And okay, we try and connect with similarities with each other. But I think we need to start looking at ourselves as a sort of natural resource of creativity and positivity and faith and trust in each other, and that sort of community side of being together, looking after each other and sharing with each other our sort of worries and our fears, but in a way that's more conducive to coming up with creative ideas about where we can be going, or collaborations that we can do with each other where we support each other. Because I've been aware there's a lot of sort of fear out there at the moment about where we're going and how everything's happening and stuff like that. And I know from my own experience, I've got a lot of sort of transferable skills from the things that I've done before. I was talking to someone about it today, you know, even my database skills, which I haven't done as a official job for like 15 years, I still use those skills that I got from doing my master's in IT and the things I did in my work after that. I still use those in the work I do now. I still have that logical brain and those skills, even when I'm doing my shamanic work, which sounds like totally crazy because shamanism is going off and sort of, it feels a bit like a dream or a daydream, but I still use those sort of puzzle skills and math skills and IT skills to unpack what I see and sort of communicate to the person I'm doing the work for what I've done. So I just thought I would share that, and I would love to hear other people's stories about how did you get to where you are, what skills that you got from school or the first job you had. I mean, the first job I had was as a blinds consultant, selling blinds to people, but there's still stuff I remember from that. Like before I was diagnosed dyslexic with a short-term memory problem, I knew that in that job I struggled because it was a Saturday job. I struggled between the 2 Saturdays to remember what the set of things I needed to do were. So I was the first person they'd ever had working there who actually wrote down all the steps of the things they needed to do and had it on a little card that I could carry around with me so I didn't have to stress. And I still, use that skill now when I get stressed about stuff. I have like little cards, like the index cards that I write things on so that I don't have to, for repeating tasks, and that was before I was even diagnosed with a neurodivergent brain issue, which is why I struggle with those things. So there's along the way, even from really early on and stuff like that, there's skills that you can take through all the way through. And that sort of thing is the stuff I used with my home educating my children as well. And so many things from that they've also taught me as we were learning about things together. So why was I telling you all this? I just wanted to put out there, if you've got any questions about any of the crazy stuff I do, how I use my essential oils to support like my dyslexia, my dyslexic brain, or people in my family, or how I use it for my spiritual work, or why I got into my core shamanic work, how that happened, what did I do whilst I was autonomously educating my children? Why did I have faith in the fact that they would be okay, and that you don't actually need to go to school or follow the national curriculum, which if you want to really get me on that, is a total waste of time. But anyway, that's a whole different discussion. Or, how I ended up where I am now, or you've got any questions or anything about any of that, please just get in touch with me. I'm always happy to talk about all that. But I'd also love to know your stories. How did you get to where you are? What skills are you using that you got at school or afterwards or at your first job? Or what things do you bring into your world now? And is there anything that you want to share or be doing more of out there? Or are there people that you want to collaborate with to make the world a better place? Or is there anything that I can support you with like that? I love sort of putting people together, doing that sort of crazy networking thing. It's another thing that comes from my computing background and various other things I did when I was younger. So just comment below if any of this has sort of resonated with you, or you want to tell me your crazy story as to how you got where you are now, especially if you're somebody who's running their own company and you want to share with people what you do, but also why you do what you do and how you got there. And maybe somebody will resonate with your story, and maybe you'll see the threads leading through all those things that connect all that stuff together and make you the amazing person that you are. So I just thought, because I've been thinking about that and all the crazy things I've done in my life up to this point, I thought I'd share that with you. And remember, if you ever want to talk to me about any of the stuff I do, or how I got here, or how I got from being a IT person to a core shamanic practitioner, or what I use my oils for and how that linked to wanting to be a doctor, but in a more natural way, or any of those things, then please just get in touch. I'm always happy to chat. I hope you all know that. But the most important thing is, whatever path you've been on or whatever journey you've been on, remember that all those things that have gone before you, and even all those things that your parents did and that your grandparents and everything that's come before you, you can use all that power in yourself to continue to be the amazing person that you are. But it'd be nice if we all could collect together and make the world a much better place. Take care, everybody. Remember, you're amazing, and I'll see you next week. Bye.